Welcome back to the deep dive. Sometimes you just dive into a topic, and it really leaves you thinking, wow, we need to talk about this more. That's how I felt after going through this Jaron Lanier material you sent over.
Yeah.
This guy is
Yeah.
a real pioneer, right? Computer scientist, VR expert,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got some seriously thought-provoking ideas
He does.
about where the internet is headed
Yeah.
and how we might, as he puts it, remake it.
He doesn't shy away from the tough questions, does he?
No, not at all.
This talk we're diving into, I mean, he even uses the term mass suicide to describe where our current trajectory with all this could lead.
Yeah.
That's
It's intense.
very intense image, but I mean, it definitely grabs your attention.
It does. And it's so interesting because Lanier started his career like at the forefront of VR
Right.
back in the 80s
Yeah.
when the tech world was just buzzing with optimism.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened between then and now?
Well, he contrasts that early, idealism with the reality of today's internet, right?
Okay.
He talks about how VR was initially envisioned as this incredible tool for connection and creativity, almost like the birth of a new language,
Yeah.
a way to experience and share ideas directly.
Right.
He even brings up Norbert Wiener's book, The Human Use of Human Beings,
Oh, yeah.
which back in the 50s warned about the potential for technology to create a society where our behavior is constantly being modified.
And Wiener thought that was impossible, right? Technologically impossible.
Back then.
Yeah.
Back then. He dismissed the idea completely.
Wow.
But Lanier argues that it's exactly what's happened. And the turning point,
Oh.
the real, original sin, in his words,
Uh-huh.
was the decision to make internet services free,
Right.
funded by advertising.
It's the model that built empires, right?
Exactly.
Google and Facebook, we all know it. Click, 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 and those ads just keep coming.
Yeah. And while it seemed equitable at first, everyone gets access, Lanier argues that it's evolved into what he calls behavior modification empires, right?
Okay.
These platforms aren't just connecting us.
Right.
They're actively shaping our behavior,
Mm-hmm.
using algorithms and feedback loops to keep us hooked and coming back for more.
Right.
He even compares it to
What?
training a dog with treats and shocks.
Okay, break that down for me a little bit more.
Sure.
What are the treats and shocks in this digital world?
So think about the instant gratification we get online.
Go.
Likes, comments, shares. Those are the digital treats, right?
Let's see.
Then there's the flip side, the fear of missing out, the social pressure to conform, the anxiety of being ignored or criticized. Those are the digital shocks. And they can be just as powerful,
Yeah.
driving us to spend more and more time online.
Right. It's like we're on a constant treadmill, right?
Yes.
Chasing those digital highs and trying to avoid the lows.
Yeah.
It's all happening so fast.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
Lanier argues that the pursuit of quick feedback in online advertising has inadvertently amplified negativity.
Okay.
He says negative emotions are cheaper and faster acting than building trust or love, right? Like they get the quickest response.
I see.
He even draws an analogy to high-frequency trading, where algorithms prioritize the cheapest and fastest responses, which often turn out to be negative.
So even if companies aren't intentionally, promoting negativity,
Right.
the system itself seems biased towards it.
Yes.
Almost like a runaway train, right?
Yeah. A good way to put it.
Picking up speed as it goes.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's exactly what worries Lanier.
Yeah.
He believes this inherent bias towards negativity is fueling the rise of polarization, outrage, and even extremism online.
Right.
It's creating a toxic environment that's harming individuals and society as a whole.
It's a bleak picture.
It is. But Lanier doesn't just leave us hanging in the darkness, right?
Right.
He offers a way out.
Oh, okay.
And it's pretty radical.
Okay. I'm all ears.
So he believes
Yeah.
we need to fundamentally rethink how we fund the internet.
Okay. What's the alternative?
He proposes a radical solution, paying for services like search and social networking.
What, you mean
Like subscriptions?
subscriptions for Google and Facebook?
Precisely.
Wow.
Lanier believes that by removing the dependency on ad revenue, we can break free from those manipulative algorithms
Okay.
and create a higher quality, more ethical digital experience. He calls it peak social media, analogous to the peak TV phenomenon.
Okay. So instead of chasing clicks and eyeballs,
Right.
platforms would focus on providing real value to their paying subscribers.
Exactly.
It's an interesting thought. But would people actually be willing to pay for something they've always gotten for free?
Lanier thinks so.
Hmm.
He points to the success of paid streaming services like Netflix and HBO as evidence that people are willing to pay for high-quality, ad-free content. He envisions a social media landscape where, for example, you could get reliable medical advice from qualified experts instead of wading through a swamp of misinformation and conspiracy theories.
Imagine that, a
Yeah.
social media platform where facts actually matter,
Right.
where thoughtful discussion is encouraged and diverse perspectives are welcomed.
Exactly.
This sounds almost utopian.
It's a compelling vision, and Lanier argues that it's not just about idealistic aspirations.
Okay.
It's also about economic sustainability.
Hmm.
He points out that companies like Google and Facebook are actually limited in their ability to diversify and create new revenue streams because they're so dependent on that advertising model.
So they're trapped in a system of their own making.
Essentially, yeah.
Hmm.
A paid model, Lanier argues, would liberate them, allowing them to innovate and develop new products and services without being beholden to advertisers.
But a paid internet raises all sorts of questions, right?
Sure.
What about those who can't afford to pay? Wouldn't it create a digital divide, excluding those who can't afford access?
That's a valid concern. Lanier acknowledges that a paid internet would require careful consideration to avoid creating a new kind of inequality.
Right.
He suggests mechanisms like digital public libraries or subsidized access for low-income individuals could be part of the solution.
It would also be a huge logistical challenge. Right?
Sure.
How would you prevent people from simply sharing their paid accounts with others?
Yeah.
And how do you ensure privacy and data security when people are paying for these services?
Those are all practical considerations that would need to be worked out, absolutely.
Right.
There's also the potential for abuse, right?
Sure.
Platforms could exploit their paid users by charging exorbitant fees or restricting access to certain content.
Right.
So it's not just about switching to a paid model.
Right.
It's about creating a system that's fair, transparent, and accountable.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers,
Definitely.
but it's a conversation we need to be having. Lanier's ideas challenge us to re-examine our relationship with the internet and imagine a different kind of digital world,
Yeah.
one where quality, authenticity, and human connection are prioritized.
I like that.
Me too.
He's asking us to consider whether this current model, this free, ad-supported internet, is truly serving us.
Right.
Or are we, as Lanier suggests, becoming the product? Our attention and data harvested and sold to the highest bidder.
It's a sobering thought. Yeah, it really is. But Lanier doesn't just stop at critiquing the current system, right?
No, he doesn't.
He goes even deeper,
Mhm.
suggesting that the way we view technology itself needs a serious upgrade.
I see where he's going with this.
Yeah.
He argues that we've fallen into this trap of seeing technology as something separate from ourselves, something that's happening to us rather than something we're actively creating and shaping.
It's like we've surrendered control almost.
Yeah.
Become passive consumers instead of active participants.
Exactly. Lanier wants us to reclaim our agency, recognize that we have the power to shape the digital world in a way that benefits humanity.
Okay.
He uses this great analogy of a garden.
Mm.
You wouldn't just let your garden grow wild, right?
Right.
You tend to cultivate it, make choices about what you want to grow.
Right. So we need to approach technology with that same level of intentionality.
Exactly.
Become gardeners of the digital landscape.
Precisely. And for Lanier, that means designing technology that enhances human capabilities, not diminishes them.
Okay.
He's a huge advocate for human-centered design, where the needs and well-being of people are always front and center.
I like that.
And that applies not just to the design of technology itself, but also to the way we use it.
So it's about being mindful.
Yeah.
Asking ourselves, how can I use this tool to foster connection, creativity, meaning in my life?
Right. He's not anti-technology at all.
Right.
He just wants us to be more conscious, more deliberate in our interactions with it. It's a call to action, really. Take responsibility for the digital world we're creating and make sure it aligns with our values, with our vision for a better future.
So where do we go from here? What can we do as individuals to navigate this complex digital age in a way that feels empowering, not overwhelming?
Well, Lanier offers some practical advice. He encourages us to be more discerning about the information we consume online.
Okay.
Cultivate healthy digital habits, like setting limits on screen time, being mindful of the content we engage with, and seeking out diverse perspectives.
It all comes back to balance, doesn't it?
It does.
And remembering the importance of real-world connections Those face-to-face interactions that nourish our souls in a way that no digital platform ever can.
It's about finding that balance, that harmony between the digital and the physical.
Right.
Remembering that technology is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. The choice is ultimately ours.
Lanier's vision is both challenging and inspiring. He pushes us to think critically about the role of technology in our lives and to imagine a future where it empowers us, not enslaves us.
Absolutely.
It's a future worth fighting for.
And remember, the future of the internet isn't predetermined.
Right.
It's something we're actively shaping with every click, every post, every interaction.
It's powerful.
It is. We have the power to create a digital world that's more humane, more equitable, more fulfilling.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the mind of Jaron Lanier,
Yeah,
we hope you found it insightful, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little bit challenging.
I know I did.
If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the topics that matter most.
Absolutely.
And remember, the power to shape the digital future is in your hands.
Use it wisely.
Choose wisely.